I'm here today with my first ever guest, Dr. Bobby Hines. He is, I want to say, my mentor. I don't know if that's my favorite word, but you really have been like a mentor to me. And we also went to the same physical therapy school. So I was really excited to have Bobby on as my first ever guest. And yeah, Bobby, just introduce yourself. Say hello.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm honored because we just chat about business stuff. That's pretty much what the relationship is there. So you can call it a mentorship or whatever, but
We're
no,
just buddies.
just buds doing this business thing together. No, so I'm Bobby Hines. I'm originally from Warner Robins, Georgia. I have a practice in Athens, Georgia, technically Watkinsville. It's called Fine Tuned Performance. Started it about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and have just been absolutely blessed to see it grow and been able to serve more of a fitness community, athletes in the area. So it's a blast, and here we
Yeah.
are. So
Yeah, here we are. I was, when I was thinking about the things that we were going to talk about, I was having this memory of one of our first interactions because Bobby graduated a year ahead of me, and we were in a practical, and one of our professors was doing the main stuff, and then you were kind of on the side also helping grade. I don't know if you remember this,
I
but
don't actually, so I'm
weren't you
interested
class
here.
president or vice president?
Co-pres.
Co-pres. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, you were the one grading me and you came to me afterwards in the hallway and you were like, "Hey, great job. Like, I really think that this was all, you gave me all the high points and you gave me a couple things to work on." And I remember thinking, that's so nice. Like, thank you. So it was such good constructive criticism. It was with Dr. Hunt's class. You might not remember
Oh,
this
okay.
moment, but anyways, I remember thinking you had a very, I guess, a leadership personality, and you kind of were able to communicate well and get people hyped about the profession. But have you always known that you were going to end up taking those characteristics and then building your own business, or was this sort of just a thing that evolved over time?
It's a great question because I always thought that might be in the back pocket, but I didn't really see myself getting into it as quickly as I did. I definitely knew about myself as far as communication skills that I would be able to do something in a leadership area, and I didn't know if it would be like, being a clinic director or like leading a program, whatever it might be. But turned out that the business route was the route to go, and like there were some different circumstances with a job that I had that was wonderful, but I kind of got pushed into a position where like it's either, you know, sink or swim, I guess, and really go for it and start a business. And yeah, so I didn't really plan it ahead of time, but it kind of happened that way.
I think that's how a lot of people are. I mean, same boat for me. Not something that I necessarily planned, but the way that the cards stacked, they just worked in more so my favor for having my own business versus not. But
Right.
when I think back on PT school, I'm like, I wonder if would you change anything about our curriculum in terms of the way that they prepped us for outside world life and the working life, or do you think they did a pretty good job? Because I've mentioned before how they had, I think, one business class, but
hmm
I think that was it. Like, would you change the curriculum? Do you think they did a pretty good job?
I think they offer you the basics of what you need.
Yeah.
I think every curriculum's a little bit different, and I've talked with a few professors about this too, where it depends on what setting you're in. I think for the setting that we're in, more of like the outpatient kind of performance mindset, treating fitness adults and athletes to a degree. There's only so much that a general program can give you in that,
Right.
and you can learn a lot after you graduate. It depends on the rotations you have, depends on the mentors you have. Um, so there's no perfect curriculum. Now, as far as the business side, I guess if you were to poll the number of people like in our class, if it's a really small subset, like the 60 people in our two cohorts together, there's maybe three or four of us kind of going out on our own and doing it. So I would say the curriculum maybe lines up with the amount of people who actually want to do that.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, like I could see there being some electives that maybe could benefit that subset of people a little bit more.
Yes, I think so. And I think, like you said, PT school is a lot of just teaching you how to be a physical therapist first, not necessarily a business owner. I mean, that's not the
hmm
purpose of why you graduate, and that's not really like their main goal. Like, you're just trying to pass the boards. But
Right.
I do think with the way that things are changing, I do feel like a lot of people are leaning more towards trying to start their own thing, even if it's just a side business. And if an elective could exist where they could learn a little bit more about the marketing side of things and like social media management and that kind of stuff, it would just be fun. Maybe I just want to go and be a guest speaker. I don't know.
Y'all, I told Ronnie I would brag on her since I'm her first guest. She is the go-to for marketing, let me tell you. Like, you talk about someone who's got a natural just knack for this kind of stuff of getting out in the community, comfortable being in front of people, promoting herself, promoting, and essentially being a resource for people like you guys who are listening who maybe want to start your own business. She's got some good stuff, so keep
Well,
tracking along
thanks,
with her.
Bobby. I definitely
Definitely.
take some pages out of your book too, though. I mean, and we'll get to that in a little bit because I want to know what's been really effective for you because I know you've been super busy recently. But I want for people that don't know your story, kind of tell them, string them along the history of when you started working for, I think just an outpatient to then your CrossFit journey to then kind of how you where you are with FTP now.
Yeah, so I originally was an outpatient clinic. We had a satellite clinic that was servicing a CrossFit gym. It was all still in network there, and it just so happened that we got acquired by a larger corporation, which is not a bad thing. It just was kind of maybe a different direction as far as where the company was headed. So there wasn't necessarily as much room to kind of grow more of that fitness community demographic within the PT clinic, and that kind of thrust me forward into starting my own business to a degree. So my boss was very, very kind to allow me to start my own side hustle. I was actually driving back and forth from Athens to Atlanta. I had built up a few CrossFit connections at different gyms and in the area, so I would drive to Marietta and to Roswell at the end of the week and just pray that there were patients on my caseload and try to market as well as I could. That happened for a couple months.
And were you treating them out of the CrossFit gym or were you
I
going to their
was.
houses? Okay.
Yeah, so that was just in the CrossFit gym there, and I would try to market as well as I could, being remote. But at the end of the day, I'm just a PT traveling in once a week. I can only build up so much reputation there in the area,
Right.
so it was kind of an uphill battle. And then I was done at my job mid-June, and I didn't have a spot set up to actually rent space in a CrossFit gym here, CrossFit Oconee, until about the beginning of August. So there was about a month and a half where I was just scrambling, doing home visits, praying that this thing would work, and finally got into the CrossFit gym, and that's where I could really hit the ground running and like really be invested in a community. And like, from the marketing side of things, when people trust you already as a member of the community and they know that you're invested in what they do, in this case it was CrossFit, then it's so much easier to treat people. They just know that you're a trusted individual, trusted person who's going to be an advocate for them, as opposed to someone who's going to tell them, no, stop doing that. You're not doing something good for your body. Like, no, they want a PT who's going to tell them, go lift, but here's some modifications
And
to
you
it.
also do CrossFit too, and you have for a while, right?
Yeah,
So
that's my fun background. So
yeah, that builds credibility because they're like, oh, this is my physical therapist, but also we were back squatting on Friday together, and I'll see him Saturday morning for a session or whatever. It
exactly.
helps them kind of bridge the gap and see that it can be done.
Oh yeah, there were so many times over at the gym where I would see a 3 o'clock patient, and then we would do the 4:30 class together. Like,
Love
so I'm
it.
like, hey, I get to see
Yeah.
if you're actually doing your stuff now because we just did it. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, it works out well when you're already invested in a community or have connections within. In my case, I see a lot of athletes, so just kind of touch points from doing sports medicine here at UGA back in undergrad. It's a whole lot easier to kind of market and connect with people when you're already invested in that community too. So.
Yes. And so
Definitely.
then you were pretty into the CrossFit community. You had a pretty sweet setup at that gym, which I've seen before, and it's one of the coolest CrossFit gyms I've ever seen.
Oh
And
yeah.
then kind of explain the timeline from when you left your job full time to going full time on your own to then deciding it was time to get out of the CrossFit space altogether and get your own lease.
Yeah. So I mean, at that point, at the CrossFit gym, I was full time on my own.
Okay,
So that
gotcha.
was from, I would say, the official full time fine tuned performance. Like, this is the only thing I'm doing, was the very end of July. And then from then on, I was at the CrossFit gym just having my own business there. So that was it was a scary moment, but so, so liberating for sure.
Yes.
And just naturally got to see the business grow a little bit there. It was fun to finally kind of be free and market and have a space. And, just like your space that you've got, it does make it a little bit easier when the space sells a little bit for you. And people are excited to come in and see you and see that this is a resource that adds into what they're already doing. So thankfully, I got to see the business grow a little bit there. And by about Christmas time, it was time to grow into my own standalone space. So I started looking around the area. I'm also very, very type A. So it's like, man, I really want to control the patient experience and make it great from the very end when they look at the website to the very end when they're actually completing the appointment, my follow-up emails, all of that. I wanted to control every bit of that, and having a standalone space was a big part of that too.
Yes, I can 100% agree with you on that one because I also started in a gym space, as you know, around the same time that you were moving into your independent space. I was moving into a gym space and kind of working out those contract negotiations and calling you all the time. And I remember thinking at the time the gym space was so cool, and it still absolutely is to a degree. There's a really cool part of when patients walk into a gym and they get this, it's just a very like alive feeling, you know. There's lots going on. You can tell that everybody's fit, everybody's motivated. But then with that, you also lose a little bit of control over what the experience is like because there's a lot of other people in there that aren't necessarily your patients, but they're also paying members that are trying to have a great experience in a different way. So when you're in your own space, truly on your own, it's if you're type A, which I feel you on that, it's rewarding because you're like, okay, let me control this environment to every degree.
Yeah, and you can have a wonderful relationship with your landlord, whoever you're subleasing from too, if that's where you're starting out, and I highly recommend doing that for sure. But there is a limit when you're a business operating within another business too. So it's just
Correct.
that next step towards kind of being more autonomous and having some, I guess, appeal when someone walks in the door. They're like, oh, this is it's your own spot. This is really cool. So you've probably noticed that too. Where
Yes.
people are a little more excited coming in. So
Yes, I was going to ask you the same thing. So, a lot of people that have been seeing you since the CrossFit days probably have enjoyed seeing the progression of your business, and probably if they're anything like my patients, then refer people because they're like, oh my gosh, go see Bobby. He's done all these wonderful things, and now he's off on his own, and we just love to support him. Have you experienced that?
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, people are excited to see you grow. For
Yes.
sure. And like your day one patients or clients are your biggest advocates, and it's really encouraging because they're going to support you regardless of what you're doing because you give them a great product, you get them better, and you have value for them too. But they get so excited when they see the business moving forward. So I know I've got a couple patients who they get pumped up every time they see a new piece of equipment in here. Like I got a new treatment table, the one that you recommended actually.
Yes.
And I had like 3 patients who were like, "Oh, here we go. This
Oh, we're
is
fancy
nice.
now.
Another step up, huh?" So no, that is really fun. And naturally, with building a business, you're building a community too, and you're advocating for people, and people respond really well to that.
Yes, 100%. And I think you are one of the first people to teach me this, but I've experienced it firsthand also just with my practice. But word of mouth is one of the most powerful tools when it comes to marketing that's kind of out of your hands. I mean, you can encourage people to talk about you, but at the end of the day, if you're giving them a good experience, they're going to send people your way. And you'll get those handful of patients that are like, I'm sending my dad to you, I'm sending my brother, my neighbor across the street. And that was one of the things in the beginning that really helped me get my name out there.
Yeah, and you can even ask for referrals too and create a program as well.
Yes. Oh, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've done that before, and every single time it has worked to at least bring in a new patient where your biggest advocates, obviously, they're the ones who want to send people to you. I've done something as simple as sending out a Google form and say, hey, who's someone that you know might be interested in this or might be dealing with an injury? And everyone's got a friend who's like, oh, they've had this knee problem for years and they won't go get it checked out. They need to come see you. I'm like, okay, well, give me their contact, and then you'll get like a free extra 30 minutes. Like it's just a discount referral kind of thing. People like to, sometimes they won't even cash in their reward, so to speak.
Right.
But also, like it just helps you build more of those warm leads and referrals too.
Right. And you already have the connection of that person that you've treated that also knows the person that they're sending. And so
Oh yeah.
it's a talking point that you can already kind of touch on. And yeah, that's great. I love it. I haven't done much of a referral program, but I've seen the ones that you've kind of posted about, and I always think it's a genius idea.
Yeah, and I have one too where if I know a referral was directly from somebody, like I know without a doubt, oh, so and so, Sarah told her friend Jonathan about me, and I know that's exactly why Jonathan's coming in, then I'll just tack on a visit to Sarah's account and so on. So
Yes, I've done the same. And people love that because a lot of times when they are referring, they're like, oh, I wasn't doing this for any kickbacks. I was just wanting them to come to you, but thank you. And so they're extra appreciative, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we kind of already touched on it a little bit, but you recently, I mean, last time we spoke, you're drowning in patience. You're so busy, which is great. We love that for business. I'm curious what you think has been one of the most, and you can name a few, a couple, just most impactful marketing, advertising strategies? Like, how are always patients finding you? How are you getting so busy? Aside from the fact that now you've been established for over a year, and so that has some credit with it too.
Drowning in patience. What a hilarious term. Yeah, I mean, the schedule's been full for sure, and it's been
I made
fun.
that sound like a bad thing. That's a good thing. I
Yeah.
just maybe that wasn't the proper choice of words, but
No, no, no. I mean, the schedule is full, which is a great problem to have, so to speak. But no, there came a point where I think the beginning of the year, it was a timing thing, like you said, which I know, like outside of the timing, persistence is a really, really big key for it, and just continuing to like. There's a time where word of mouth kind of exponentially grows. So if you continue to just chip away at things and chip away and make sure that the patient experience is great, that will come back to you down the road. So even if it feels like you're on the grind and you just can't get people in the door, um, it's eventually going to pay off for sure.
yeah.
The other thing that I brought in was an admin assistant, and her name is Abby. She's incredible. I call her the Swiss Army knife. And all of the things that I used to have to do manually, I used to have to block out time for specifically for my patient follow-up, for like just checking in on people, and like I still do that. But we've got a system set up where we're running reports of who hasn't been on the schedule in a few weeks, who's got visits left in a package that they've done. And I was really scared to hire someone because I was like, oh man, as you're growing a business, you want to keep things lean and cut costs down a little
Yeah.
bit. But also, let me tell you, like, she has been phenomenal, and talk about having someone bought into the mission of the company. It increases the value of the patient experience down the road too. And like when someone else is reaching out to help out, and it's not just the PT every time, like people start to see that it's growing, and again, it adds that credibility to the business too.
That's a
So
really good point.
yeah, if it might be something you could be looking at here
I know.
soon
I'm
at
like
some
the wheels
point.
are spinning.
Yeah, it adds credibility, and she is automatically trying to fill up the schedule, and it has worked. And there are more people that slip through the cracks than you think, even if you think you're not seeing many people right now in your own business. So it always helps to have that extra touch point. So that's a big one. Um, yeah, and then
Okay.
I would say the other piece of advice there is have lots of fishing poles in the water. You can't rely on just one. So if you're like, say you're renting out of a gym, if you are relying on just that gym clientele to be your caseload, either you hope that that the gym is programming terribly and they're causing injuries all the time. That's a joke, but it will not fill your caseload, and you got to have people outside of there coming in. So you've got to be dipping into other communities to kind of show your stuff and showcase that you're out there as a resource.
Yes. And I've touched on this in my most recent episode, just different marketing strategies. And one thing that I think is looked over a lot of times is people go out and market a lot of times, maybe once to one location, one time. And let's just say, for ease of mathematics, 8 out of 10 times, none of them ever follow up, but two will. So those two that follow up and take interest in your business and seem like maybe they would be a good referral source, and vice versa, like maybe you send patients to them too. Those are the ones that you want to really nurture the relationship with, and don't
Yeah.
just go visit them once a year. Like, go back the next month and then the following month, and I don't know, bring them t-shirts, bring them
Yeah.
granola bars, whatever it's going to be, something to make them remember you and feel like it's a good working relationship.
Do you know the rule of seven?
No, tell
Mhm.
us.
All right. So research shows that normally it takes about 7 interactions with a product or a service for someone to actually create the transaction. So it could be seeing Rehab with Ronnie's name out there. And then, oh, I got an email because she was doing this event. Oh, she's at this gym doing a workshop. Oh, I got another email. Oh, I just saw her billboard out there. Like, it's normally on average about 7 times before we interact with marketing,
Wow.
before a transaction actually happens. So persistence is very, very important there.
That's important to remember because a lot of times it can also feel like you as a business owner and the person doing most, if not all of the marketing, feels like overkill. You feel like you're doing it way too much and people are sick of you. And that might be the case, but the majority of people don't even know that you exist. I say that often. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the people who are actually interested in what you do, like those are 7 meaningful interactions. And you'll naturally filter out the people who are not interested, and that's part of running a business too.
Yeah.
Learning who your avatar is, learning who your market is. So,
Yes, yes. The patient avatar is an important thing to think of because when I was starting, I kind of had this mindset like, oh, I treat everything, which was sort of true when I was working in the corporate PT world. I mean, you name it, I saw it. I had to be really well-rounded. But when you go off on your own, you get the opportunity to sort of narrow down your focus and figure out what you want to see more of. What would you say your ideal client looks like, or the most common thing that you see?
yeah, I've got to split it into 2 specific categories there. So kind of maybe late 30s, mid 40s, adult in some type of fitness capacity who they are still competitive in their head and like they want to, you know, edge their friends in a workout, but also they've got like kids to take care of and they want to stay really healthy and longevity is in their mind. So that's one. And then the other is the intentional athlete. So it could be as young as middle school. Normally it's about high school or college age where there is a future in a sport that someone is tracking for. And they're looking for this as really high quality PT services that are going to go above and beyond what maybe they're getting at, you know, just with treatment at their school or with a standard rehab protocol at, you know, just a standard in-network clinic.
Sure. That's awesome. That sounds like you kind of have it down pat.
Those are my folks.
Those are your folks.
And, you know, it doesn't mean that I turn away people who aren't in that demographic, but still, like, that's probably what's making up 85-90% of my caseload right now.
Yep. Yeah. I would say similar for me, a little bit different in terms of the athletes because I rarely see high schoolers. It's more so people in their 20s, 30s, sort of like us trying to get back into something, and then more so like your middle-aged adult that's also training for the Ironman or something.
Yeah, and you got to know your community too. Like, being where you are, you're probably not, like, high school sports are massive here in Athens, and it's only growing. So there's such a large community when it comes to youth development, and being a resource for them is a really big thing here. Whereas that might not be the case with you being in kind of a larger metro area.
True.
And, you know, just a different demographic overall.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think back on, you've been practicing for 5 years, 4 years?
Oh gosh, yeah, coming up on 5.
Coming up on 5. What is your favorite thing to treat? And then tell me your least favorite. Because I think these things change over the course of time.
Oh man.
If you can think of one of each.
Yeah, my least favorite thing to treat. Oh, that's such a great question. I would say probably tennis elbow. Like, because it's all about managing expectations. And the research shows that like this stuff can just spontaneously get better at about a year out too. So like you're really trying to be diligent, but just you're also trying to educate, hey, this could be a while. So you have to really manage expectations, which is not a fun part, but like you still have to be intentional. Favorite thing to treat, I would say low back pain. When people complain of their back spasming, like this happens a couple times a year, you can get some immediate relief for folks and see like life change happen in front of your eyes. When you get people moving and you just see their confidence build because like, oh, I didn't know I was allowed to do that. I didn't know I could lift that way. I didn't know I was allowed to stretch in that way. So like the quick satisfaction ones like that.
Yes, I agree. And it's funny because low back pain, the non-specific low back pain, that those referrals you get when you're working an outpatient, it's so common. And a lot of times it wasn't my favorite, but over the past 2 years, it's become more and more my favorite because I see it on my schedule and I'm like, oh, we're going to do some good stuff. They're going to be feeling good.
Oh yeah. Like you can get, you know, that feeling, you get confident before they're coming in.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, this person have an extra coffee or something. What's their deal?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they definitely think that when they meet me. I'm like, hi.
hello, welcome.
Yeah.
So,
You were talking about making the experience and having control over it, like making it great from start to finish. But which I know you do, when people are actually in PT with you, like say first visit, what would you say are a couple things you do that maybe set you apart or that you just feel confidently change the experience for them and make them excited to come back?
Oh yeah. So I'm really big on making sure that attention to detail for one-on-one care is first and foremost in their head. So like they're always going to be the only patient that I'm working with at the same time. There's never any overlap. I would say that, and some of this is taken from a few talks I listened to recently, but like the space sells a little bit. Like it kind of adds credibility. So in my clinic, much like yours, I tried to make it feel very homey, a little bit bougie, make it feel nice. Like when you walk in, oh, I'm going to get taken care of here. Sorry, there's a garage door opening next door to me, if you can
No,
hear
you're
it.
good.
So I try to make sure there's music going on in the background. I try to make sure it smells nice. I try to
Yes.
make sure that they're offered water or a coffee or something. I've got a little Keurig in the front. All those little tiny details that make it feel like, oh, I am the priority here when I walk in. That's really big to me. So we've set up the lobby in that way, where Abby, again, the Swiss Army knife, doing a little bit of everything. She'll greet patients at the door, make sure they're taken care of. And everything kind of matches the same branding too. So when you walk in, like you're seeing FTP everywhere, you're seeing a clean space. You're all those things that it seems like it would be standard, but it's not always standard when you walk into a PT space. That I try to make sure those senses are kind of appealed to when people walk in. Yeah, and then other than that, I try to make sure that everything is efficient for the patient, so they get their exercises quickly from me. It's easy to book. There's no barriers to entry that if we want to schedule something the next 2 or 3 weeks or so, they can do it right then and there. So it's all very, very efficient for them and they feel taken care of.
Yes. Yeah. I love the scheduling ahead of time. And I make that a point to always finish with the evaluation, unless it's something where they're like, I won't be back for a month. I'm going out of the country. Otherwise, I'm like, okay, we need to schedule some follow ups. I want to make sure that we get the times that work best for you so that way I'm available for you. They can have the appointment that they like, the ones that work best for them. And then they're much more likely to come back, I think, and be excited for it. So
Oh yeah.
I get that.
Solves two problems because I know most of your listeners are aspiring PTs or business owners as well. It solves two problems. One, it takes care of the patient, like you were just saying, and they get their ideal times. But two, it kind of helps them come back in the door and it allows you to shine as a PT, both as a business owner because they're coming back in to see you, and as a PT because they get to see you. They get to see your skill set through the entire rehab as opposed to just a one-off visit, and that's a
Yes.
very different skill set too.
Yes. And I'm sure for you it's the same, but I don't typically get the one-off visits anymore. I think it's happened like one time since I started. I had somebody no-show, and that was actually really recent. But most of the time, if somebody is having a good experience from start to finish, like you just described, the likelihood of them just never coming back is it's like almost zero. Something would have to be totally out of whack, out of the blue for them to just ghost you, which is a little bit different when you're in the outpatient world and maybe it's a little bit more demanded by insurance or the healthcare providers making them go just so they can get an image or something.
Yeah, because I mean, I think this is something we talked about ahead of time before the podcast that you sent over, but people are willingly coming in and paying for these services most of the time out of pocket.
Right.
And they might have insurance, so you do run into a group of people who are really, really motivated to come in and see you. So you tend to not deal with the no-shows or late cancels as much. It does happen
It does.
at times, but at the same time, most of the time, it's a pretty motivated population.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was talking this a little bit with that news interview we were just talking about. They were saying you probably get people better a little faster because of this one-on-one time. And I said yes, but there's also a point that I want to make that I'm curious if you agree. Like, I think my plans of care can be shorter sometimes, depending on the issue at hand. Obviously, it depends on the patient in front of you. But there's also something to be said about the kind of patient that's coming. Because when I'm working an outpatient and I have a low back pain that's been going on for 20 years, the likelihood of them feeling a lot better in 6 or 8 visits is a lot less than somebody who's motivated, paying out of pocket, pretty active otherwise, and also having some low back pain. So I think that plays into how long you see them. And I don't know, I'm curious if you experience the same type of thing. Or maybe you see people longer because they're trying to get back to sports.
Yeah, I think the best way to answer that or kind of talk about it is just the process in which I go about treating people anyway.
Hmm.
So I have a 3-step process that I tell patients about here. It's a feel better, move better, and perform better process. So like the feel better is step one, we're going to get you out of pain. We're going to make sure that you are what you came in for that is really bugging you. Let's say it is low back pain. We get that gone as quickly as possible, and that may take a little bit of time. And we move better so it doesn't come back again. So adjusting whatever form or whatever issue caused the back pain in the first place, and then the perform better, where people have the option to kind of stay on for a longer period of time, is like, hey, let's make your back as robust and strong as possible so this never happens again. And that's where you can get into more of the performance mindset too. So it goes from what you would call, quote unquote, like just your basic rehab. Then it goes into something that's a little bit extra. And I think that's what people are truly looking for, because they don't want to come back again in 6 months. They want to get rid of it and have some agency in what they're and ownership in whatever they're dealing with.
Yes. Yep. It helps them figure out what they're in for, so that they know what to expect. And I love that. I say something similar along the lines of, my goal is to not see you again. Like, eventually I want you to be so independent and so educated about what's going on that even if you do have a flare up, you don't necessarily need me. This is going to be one of those things that once it's gone, ideally. So I like that.
But here's the catch. They come back and see you for something different because
I
they
know.
trust you. So
I know.
yeah, it's
They just come back because they miss you.
exactly, yeah. So
Okay. I'm curious how your mindset has changed as a business owner over the past, I guess you've been doing this for like 2 years now, going on 3. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you were in a different headspace going into it compared to how you are now. What kind of things have changed that you think are most notable?
in the business structure as a whole, or I mean, initially it was like, hey, replace your income and survive, please. That would be cool.
Yeah.
And now that like there's a little less of the fear of like, oh, we might go out of business tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
like that's not necessarily at the forefront of my mind anymore. But um, the touch points are a little bit different now. So instead of just like, who can I get in to see this week? It's more so, how can I really touch and invest in the community for the long-term health of the business? Because like, I love treating for sure, but I also know that I think I love developing and leadership a little bit more. That's just my own personality, and I guess kind of hitting on. I feel terrible that I don't remember this interaction from after your lab,
That's
but
okay. It was a long
I
time ago.
I genuinely do enjoy leading and developing others really well. So, like, if my schedule were back to like treating just maybe 10 hours a week, and the rest of that was being a mentor to employees or developing other PTs, and then finding ways for fine-tuned performance to really be a pillar of the community, that's kind of the next step here. So, it's shifted a little bit, but it's still the same bones of the business. It's just kind of some larger goals, I would say.
Yeah.
It's kind of where the mindset's shifting.
I like it. I like that you don't have to worry so much about surviving, because I know that struggle. It's a scary feeling in the
Oh
beginning.
yeah, yeah. But it tends to work out though. I mean, I feel like people who do take the step out on their own, if they really mean it, like they're going to be passionate about making something work, and people end up having some success that way. Just from, I mean, fear of failing can be a great motivator. Don't get me wrong, but also like just the aspiration to do something really cool and really impactful can be a really good motivator too.
Okay, this is a question that just popped into my head, but since we took somewhat similar paths, and I think we're both motivated in a similar way, if you could go back in time and talk to yourself when maybe you were on the fence. I don't even know if you were on the fence about going out on your own. You might have already known that this was what you wanted to do. But if you could offer yourself a piece of advice, and this is really for my followers who are considering doing the same thing, but you're on the fence about it and you're not sure if the risk is worth the reward, what would you say to your younger self?
I would say actually write down some goals of where you want to be in 10 years and see if what you're doing now aligns with that. As I was kind of in my job coasting a little bit, honestly, and thank goodness for my wife, because she is my biggest advocate and was the one who kind of kicked me in the butt to actually start this, because she saw just my mood and my motivation just kind of dwindling a little bit, and she hated to see that too.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as she was encouraging me, and then I kind of looked at like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing the same exact thing for probably similar pay. Like, not that compensation's everything, but like probably be doing the same job pretty much in about 10 years from now.
Yes.
And that's what drove me nuts a little bit. So, advice to my younger self by 2 years, I'd say write down exactly what you want to be doing, like with as much detail as possible. What is the dream job, and don't hold back on it. And then just see if what you're doing now aligns with it. And
Yeah.
then what that automatically does is that creates the first part of your business plan, because everything has to align with that goal if you really want to make your dream job out of it. Because you don't want to create a treadmill for yourself. You want to create a business that allows you to actually have that goal, whatever it is for you. So define yourself and figure out exactly what you want to do, not what someone else is doing that you think is cool, but what you want to do.
Yes. Yeah. Because if you're basing it off of what you've seen other people accomplish or what you think you should be doing based off of what they're doing, it's not going to come from a genuine place, and you won't be as motivated to make it happen, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I look at what you're doing. Like, it's incredible. The stuff that you do with social media is, I know that that's not my skill set. And I know, like, if I tried to be like Rehab with Ronnie, I would fail miserably. It would be a rough time.
Because you'd be
But
trying to be me, though. You got to be
uh,
Rehab with Bobby.
and I ain't Ronnie. I'm Bobby. So yeah. Um,
Yeah.
write down your own goals for sure, and figure out if it aligns with what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I love that. And it's a good point to bring up, because I think a lot of people see what I'm doing, what you're doing, and want this checklist of things to be able to do to just get to the
Hmm.
same place. And I think it can help. It can definitely serve as guidelines for you to be able to reference, but at the end of the day, you need to be like intrinsically motivated to do something on your own. And yes, use people as motivation, like I used you as motivation, but me trying to do exactly what you do would also not be working for me, you know? So it's
Right.
just, you got to find your own, you got to forge your own path.
100%. And
Yeah,
everyone's got a different skill set and personality, so that path will naturally be different. So
exactly. Okay, couple more questions. This one I feel comfortable bringing up now because we already chatted about it, but I'm expecting in August.
let's
A little
go,
baby, yes.
Mama
And
Ronnie.
so excited. And you also recently had a baby around Christmas time. Yes.
Christmas time, December 18th.
Yes. And he's such a little cutie.
He is the best.
But naturally, life changes when you have a child, of course. And I am so curious for my own sake. Like, how have business operations changed for you? How has your time changed in terms of things that you allot for the business versus family? Has it been challenging? Is it smooth sailing? Just give me the lowdown.
It's been challenging and smooth sailing and everything all at one time.
Good.
No, so we knew that we were going to have this baby around Christmas time, and it was a little bit of a grind in the fall, because, like, for me, and this is like as the dad, so it's a little bit different as a mom, and will be a different as a mom for you too. But for me, I'm like, okay, I've got this window of opportunity to really grind and make a difference, to where, like, I'm going to provide for him too, and not just my wife. Like, it just brings up the intensity a notch. So my motivation went through the roof.
That's
Um,
good.
but then on the flip side of that, I was like, wait, when he gets here, I'm not going to be like this dad who's not around, especially in the first like few weeks of his life. So fall was a grind and really good, and it allowed me to be able to not even think about the clinic. I shut down from December 18th until January 2nd and didn't even think about treating a patient. And
Amazing.
took 2 weeks off and just spent time at home, and it was a beautiful time. And thankfully, again, my wife, my biggest advocate, Rachel, she's all about like, hey, this is your thing and you're providing for us. Get out there and go.
Get out there and go.
So then when January 2nd came around, it was go time again.
Yeah.
And so there's more of that motivation. And there were times where practically like blocking a schedule was really, really important. There were a few weeks that like it wasn't my favorite schedule in the world, but I only treated early mornings or late afternoons and just stacked my schedule that way. So I always had a half day to go and help out at home if needed. And now we're kind of settling into more of a regular schedule again now that he's 3 months. It's
Oh my
insane.
gosh.
So yeah, it's going to be a little bit different from the mom side, but schedule blocking is really, really key
Yep.
for that
Yeah.
too.
I'm looking forward to learning how to figure that out. But again, being able to see you go through it, I'm like, okay, very good. He had a cute little baby and he's still out there in the business world doing his thing. And so it will look different. I might have to be gone for a little more than 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't know how much time I'm supposed to close. Maybe I need to hire somebody. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I do say all that with a grain of salt of like Rachel's got the hardest job in the world and like she crushes it and I'm the one who sleeps a little bit better than she does. She is the life source. She is food for him and like
Yes.
and a lot of other support ways too, but no. She takes the brunt of it in that regard and I know I do have it easy, but in return I'm like, okay, I'm going to grind for you guys and make sure you're taken care of and get everything you need to and all the resources possible. So,
Yeah.
it's just a roles thing, like where, you're going to have different opportunities to grind at times, but also there are going to be times where you'll have to step back a little bit too and take
Yeah.
some time for yourself. But
What a
you'll
cool
do
way
great.
for it to work motivationally for you too. Like
Yeah.
instead of feeling this pressing need to be home all the time, and maybe you do feel that, but you're also taking it and using it as fuel for I'm going to get this business to really work for me so that I can provide for my wife and baby. And I think that's great. I hope that I feel the same way. I think I will.
Oh, you will.
Yeah.
For sure. And you're
Yeah.
going to make it work. Like, I know you're going to absolutely crush it and find some really cool ways to like actually make it a resource for you and your business will continue to grow as
It'll
well.
be fun. It'll be fun. And speaking of business growing, I do want to touch on this real quick. I think you're hiring, correct?
Shameless plug. Let's
No,
go.
really, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because people listen to the podcast. Maybe some of them live near you. I guess why are you hiring, and then what are you looking for?
Yeah, so like we talked about earlier, schedule's full for sure. And there are a lot of people who want to get in and experience this type of physical therapy in the area that I just do not have the space to see them. And it's tough. And if I don't want to be treating from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day, which I do not want to do that,
Nope.
I need some help. So I also want to be sure that like it's not a we're drowning, I need help, anybody kind of thing. Like it's more so like I'm looking for someone who is really going to encompass the values of like everything we've talked about. Like if you're really motivated to create advocates for PT to be an advocate for PT and to just really be part of a space where we're investing in the community and giving a really, really high quality PT product, regardless of your experience level, that's the goal. You can't coach character or personality. You can coach a clinical skill set. So that's kind of where
Yes.
my head's at on that overall. But yeah, definitely hiring, looking for somebody. So if
Very
you're out there,
good.
hit me up.
Yep. How could they find you? I guess your website as ftprehab.com.
ftprehab.com or at ftprehab on Instagram. That's where I've got the unofficial listing. And then I've also got a form on my website where it's for patient consultations, but I'll take employee consultations too.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just the natural next step for the business overall, and just being able to invest in somebody, invest in their growth as a clinician and a person too. It's what I'm really passionate about. So
Yes, I
we're at
can
that part of the
attest.
business.
Bobby's a great mentor / just person to chat with. So I'm sure it would also just be really fun to work there. It looks like you guys have a great time.
It's a fun spot. Like there are so many times where it doesn't feel like PT. It just feels like we're hanging out and like, oh, we should probably like do something productive here. But
Let's
at the
get back
same
to your
time-
goals.
Let's get back to that. But
Yeah.
no, it's a setting where I will kind of elaborate on that too. Like people trust you a lot, and therefore like they start to see you as more than just their PT. They see you as someone who just cares about them and a friend. Like I can't tell you how many times I've like gone and hung out with a patient because I've invested a lot into their life, and I want to kind of see what they're about. I went and with a longtime client of mine, I went and did a jiu-jitsu class with him, and he gave me a black eye. That was embarrassing the next day for my other patients. But I think I'm going to join the gym. Like,
Amazing.
it's fun stuff, So you get to build those type of relationships with people, and it's a fun spot and different than your typical run-of-the-mill, just in-network kind of box
Yes.
clinic feel.
Yes. It's rewarding beyond what you can even imagine when it gets to that point where you have those relationships formed, and yeah, you just feel like you have a whole new subset of friends. It's
100%.
great. It's great. Okay, so we know you're hiring. So we know those things are moving and shaking over at FTP. What else is in the future plans for you? Or are you trying to scale the business? Are you open up multiple locations? What's next for you in the next year?
This is like early in the works, but I do see it coming just based on where we've been trending over the last year or so. I think the next step is going to be a larger space, because the way that the business has grown in the last 6 months or so, if that continues like I think it's going to, then hire number one will happen, and then I would expect within the year, maybe the end of the year, would probably be looking at number two coming in, and this spot is big enough for two full-time
Oh, you
clinicians.
already have it scouted out. Okay.
So I've been kind of looking around and have talked with some folks, just keeping some feelers out there on what's available in the area, because this is a really incredible spot. It's a fun place to work. I also know that it could get crowded real quick with where I think the business is going and where it's going to grow within this community. So
Awesome.
that's what's coming down the road, but
Yay.
we'll maybe have a follow-up episode maybe a year from now and see
Absolutely.
where we're at on that one.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. If I can even
yeah.
get you on, I mean, at that point, you might just
Oh
be
my
booked and
gosh, you
busy.
stop it. Stop that. Stop it. Yeah. But
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. I love it. Well, I've been loving watching everything that you're doing. I love seeing the updates to the clinic you're making. It seems like on a regular basis. You just got force plates, it looks like.
they're coming in Monday.
Okay.
So they are
So
on the
good.
plane right now. I've been on UPS tracking, just refresh over and over again. But
So awesome.
that's going to
So
be a
awesome.
really cool thing through Vald, force plate. So I'll have some force decks and then a dynamometer where just the more objective data you can give people and athletes, they eat it up, they
They
love
love
it,
it.
and it helps them track progress too.
Yeah.
So just all these little things. Those same clients we talked about, they're going to be like, here's another new toy. I'm like, yeah, come on.
I'm coming back.
So yeah,
Very
it's
cool.
going to be fun.
All righty. Well, I think that pretty much closes up anything that I had planned to chat about. I feel like people are going to love this episode. I know I've loved it. I've had fun. I really just appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience and being a resource for my listeners too, because you've been so helpful to me over the past year and a half, 2 years. And I know that a lot of people are going to take a lot from this.
Oh, well, I appreciate you having me. And seriously, I know you talked at the beginning of me being like almost like a mentor role, but the stuff that I see you doing out there, you push me forward in a lot of ways that you may be not even aware of as well. So to your listeners, you got a good one that you're listening to here. She's a great resource for you, and I'm honored that you'd have me on the pod.
Thanks for coming on the pod. Until next time, Bobby.
Till next time.